Hello and welcome to live broadcast of FIDE Women's World Championship match. I'm Grandmaster Miro, next to me Grandmaster Zhongyi, and we will be commentating game 9 today. With Wenjun having 6-2 lead, any game starting from this one can be the last game of this match. So of course, a lot of people think the match is decided and so on, but it is still a lot of tension for the players. It is a still very, very important game. Welcome to the show, and I think the game has just started, by the way. Yep, so do we have the names of those the guests who usually make honorable moves? If we don't, we will mention them later. What I see, it is a Sicilian defense played by Zhongyi. Wenjun still plays e4. That's interesting that she started with e4 on day one, and she keeps playing e4, kind of disregarding the match situation. She played e4 when she was 1 point down. Yes, she plays e4 now when a draw means winning a match. So that was clearly, we can say, that's preparation. Maybe it becomes the main move of Wenjun after this match.
I think it should be the main move for Wenjun in this match. And actually, today's guests, we haven't got the name, but are two chess kids in Chongqing, and they are very good in chess, and hope they.
Yeah, so young talents, right?
Yes, young talents. Hope they will be the future of China's chess.
Yeah, nice to have some young talents. Also imagine as the kid you have this, a chance to play not just a move at some, I don't know, exhibition match, but world championship match. So this really means a lot usually when a young talent. I remember like my first game against, not even Grandmaster, like you get to play the master for the first time, and then again it's so important, like you win your first game against master, and again it gives you, so hopefully kids enjoyed the show, and I think we can start with the moves. I do have the moves, so if you want I can tell you what the moves are, so we can start showing what's happening on the board. So it's e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, so-called Rosalimo Sicilian, same as 2 games ago, right?
Yes.
e6, castles, knight g to e7, rook to e1, and this is different from the previous white game for Wenjun. Rook e1, Zhongyi quickly played knight to d4, knight takes, pawn takes, and c2, c3, and this is all we have for now.
Yes.
This is all we have for now. Both players obviously prepared. Zhongyi had the information that Wenjun will play bishop b5, so she could prepare the particular line. And again, with white, if you play bishop b5 and you play rook e1, you're of course aware of this setup. a7, a6 played by Zhongyi. And I was thinking about this situation. It is of course very, very hard to play for Zhongyi when it's you at such a disadvantage. You lost last 4 games, but in fact for Wenjun, like, it's still too early to celebrate.
Yes.
Right? It's still too early to celebrate, and if somehow she ends up losing today, all of a sudden the match situation looks, shaky with +3. That's as silly as it sounds, but this is, she would really much rather prefer to, to finish the game today, to finish the match today. Let me check what is this line in terms of theory. Okay, you have some games of high-rated players
and
like that.
I have some experience in this line. In 2023, I played the Pro Chess League for Shanghai Tigers, and actually Wenjun is my teammate. Of course, she played very well, and we finally finished in the second place in the playoffs. And I have a game against Nicolas Serrador from St. Louis
Chess Club.
Yes.
Yeah.
And in that game, I played white and I lost in a very. I mean, I have no any chances, and he played very well attacking ideas. So maybe I can show the game, and
tell us.
Maybe this is why Tan Zhongyi chose this line, because it's a very sharp line and not very famous. Maybe some rare lines, and can continue the fight and give Wenjun some test. Bishop f1, knight c6. And now black want to play bishop c5 and put the bishop on a7. So in the main line, b4 is the idea here.
Yeah, b4 to stop bishop to c5. Yes.
Yes. And b4, I think my opponent played the queen c7. I played the bishop b2. And I don't know, he takes me first or play bishop d6 first. Okay, maybe dc and dc, bishop d6. And in the game, I think I played h3, yes. And after I finished the game, I analyzed it, and g3 is the better move here. h6, h3, he castled. I played knight a3. This is bad.
Yeah.
b5, knight c2, bishop b7, a4, and takes f5.
And it actually looks somewhat similar to one of our games, with Tan Zhongyi playing black. And then black has these two bishops, opens the f-file.
And it's very
rook f5,
dangerous.
And it can be dangerous attack, yes.
Yes. So maybe this is the plan, one of the plans for Tan Zhongyi in this game. Actually, I think in game 5 and game 7, when Tan Zhongyi played black, she showed some ideas similar to this.
Yeah, in game 7 as well. Yeah, you're right. So there was this like queen on c7, bishop d6. Right, and so far, yes, we are following this this game. a6, bishop f1, knight c6. By the way, this one is relatively popular position. 150 games played in total in the database. Main move being b4. Let's see. What else can you... Once again, keeping in mind that Wenjun, normally you don't say happy with the draw, but in this specific case, maybe you are happy with the draw. So instead of b4, what happens if I take on d4? I know it's a little bit kind of boring. d4, knight d4, and maybe d3 or knight c3, d3, bishop e3. I mean, I want to play like very simple, even stupid chess. Just develop the pieces to exchange as many pieces as possible. This could be the scenario, by the way. Yeah.
Yes.
So d3, bishop c5, bishop e3, because it will be hard to play for advantage with black, I guess. But maybe you still somehow do it, right? Castle, let's say, and after knight c3, maybe d6. That's what I'm thinking. If knight e2, queen b6. There is still some argument to be made. I understand, like if white plays perfectly, it's a draw, but or rather, white can achieve a draw, right? But yeah, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? At least it's not, let's say, not the Petrov. It's not a draw in Berlin in 10 moves. It is a fight. Yeah, it is a fight. So really curious to see what's Wenjun's choice going to be, because b4, as you said, is perhaps the most principal move and the move after which maybe white has a chance to get a better position, but also like most complex means the most risk.
Yes.
Right, if you misplay it. Yeah, I'm still curious. So if b4, bishop d6, right, or queen c7, bishop b2 takes c3, dc3, bishop d6, g3. Black can play h5 maybe. yes?
Yes.
And the thing is, yeah, okay, once again, computer is not impressed, just develops knight d2. Knight d2, maybe knight to c4. Maybe this is the idea. Because I would be somewhat, irritated, scared, when I only need a draw, so I want like comfortable position, and someone plays h5, h4. It is a little bit annoying.
Yes.
Yeah, so for Wenjun, of course, it's easier to say than to do, but like normally you don't want to think too much about I need the draw, I need the draw. You still have to play like good moves, principal moves on the board. She goes knight a3. She goes knight a3, which is, I guess, reasonable. In a worst case scenario, maybe you're planning again to simplify, to take cd4, go knight c2, which is again maybe a little bit passive, but should be fine. Bishop a3, I don't think is very clever. Some people would think double the pawns, maybe create some weak pawns for white. dc3, dc3,
yes,
and then black is not in time to cover all the dark squares, right?
Yes.
If you have pawn on e7 and pawn on d6, so the pawns are different, then maybe you're happy, yeah. But like this...
Yes, actually, Miro, maybe I have some different opinion as you in this position. Of course, I totally agreed with you, after bishop a3, ba3, this position is better for white, but maybe it's something black have to do to make the position unbalanced. And
well, actually, something like that, maybe not exactly in this line, but something like that I was thinking. So your opponent is a very good player, so it's unlikely that you just play like normal moves and you win with black. Maybe you have to take risk. And taking risk can be different things. It can be you go for something very tactical, or you play even, something like that. You have strategic disadvantages, and if white bishop gets to d6, then we all understand what this is. But also you have strategic advantages. Your structure is better, and so even this thing, maybe that's what like if you compare, you do something else and white just trades the pieces and it's symmetrical, then it's better to take on a3, taking into account the situation in the match. Knight a3, let me see if, there were some games played like that. Usually, I just want to say, usually people play bishop c5, and this is the moment Zhongyi played bishop to e7. And believe it or not, now, the line is to take on d4. No, wait. To take on d4, knight d4, and knight c2.
c2, yes.
Knight c2. And again, if these pieces are coming off the board, it will be very hard. It's almost like you have to go knight c6. I don't know.
Yes.
Knight c6, d4. It's
Actually,
also very hard for me to, like, you want to keep pieces on the board, but for this you have to go back.
Yes.
This is one scenario that maybe is not so great for black. And Tan surprisingly played bishop e7 very fast, so maybe she trusts her, let's say, her strategy to play fast, and then if Wenjun gets in trouble, time trouble, then maybe Zhongyi will get a chance.
Yes.
Still some games in the database, but nothing like of great value.
Yes, in the whole match, especially in game 5 till game 8, Zhongyi tries to change a lot of plans of what she played in strategy or positional or in time management. So maybe now she just what she need to do is just to trust something and try it.
Just believe in some strategy and just go for it. Yes. Knight c2 played by Wenjun, which is honestly, again, why to take on d4 if you can play knight c2 immediately?
Yes, actually, maybe it is a clever choice, because now you cannot take and go back to c6.
You cannot keep the pieces. Yes, like if black spends some move instead of bishop e7, that you could say, okay, black can go bishop c5, but now you played bishop e7 and bishop c5, this is too much. Yeah, so knight c2 is clever. d5 played relatively fast, which is, yeah, I guess a good move. d5, but I'm wondering, it's, by the way, it's not one of the top computer choices, but what if I go e5? d5, e5. Because d4 is under attack. There is queen g4 idea. And all I'm saying, like if you take on c3, then anything, bc3 or dc3, it's maybe not too much better for white, but very, very solid, like incredibly solid. It's like almost impossible to imagine how white loses this one. So again, while maybe it's not a disaster for black, this is a position that black has to avoid if we know the score of the match. So that's one of the options. After d5 is just to push the pawn. d3 is what computer has. I don't know, I mean like d3 for white instead of, I'm looking for other moves. Yeah, d3 for white. Apparently the best line for white is not even to play d3, but to take on d5, ed5, queen takes d5, and bishop d3, and white is slightly better. But this is exactly what Zhongyi would be happy with. So not symmetrical position, pieces stay on the board, just play it, whatever happens, happens. But at least you have your own choices. Also white is like risking a little bit with the bishop on c1 still undeveloped. So this would be not a bad scenario for Zhongyi. Yep.
Actually, the position after bishop d3, if I play f5, because you want to play e4, bishop e4 and take on c6, I have to play bishop f5. Actually, I'm not very sure if I'm not looking at the engine. I'm not sure white is better on.
Yeah, you're right. Like f5 is not a terrible move. It's like it practically doesn't change evaluation. Computer thinks that white is slightly better after bishop d3, and f5 it's okay. Point 4. Do you care? Like if you're in a must-win situation now, it's like it's a complex position. There is nothing straightforward for white. Yeah, I think that's a good move again. Like in this kind of strategy that you only play for a win, it's a good move. And again, same goes for white's move e5 that I was suggesting. Like if I see this position, or I have this very stable, very solid position after e5, if I know draw means a world championship title, then of course I'll try to be as solid as possible. Yeah, I think that's fair to say. Anyway, Zhongyi manages to put Wenjun into think after this d5 move. Guess, yeah, like e5. Can black somehow, no, I was thinking defend d4, like not clear how. Yeah, queen b6. Queen b6, wait a second, for whatever reason queen b6, bishop g4 is not that great. Castles. Yeah, knight takes d4.
Yeah, it's maybe not the best move, but after knight d4, queen d4.
You exchange. Well, maybe what black has to do, this is, okay, it's actually a computer line, but maybe what black has to do after knight takes d4 is to go f5. We are talking about, like, at some point you have to go all in. Maybe this is your all-in moment. f5, ef6, rook f6, and then you cannot take on c6. And actually, now computer thinks about it more and says white might be like even in danger.
Yes.
So yeah, queen e2, and then knight takes, pawn takes. Even knight takes, pawn takes, queen takes. It's not symmetrical, and maybe, you know, maybe black will have some chances.
Yes.
So yeah, maybe that's what you have to do after e5. Just play queen b6 and hope for it to work. But first, yeah, let's wait for Wenjun to make a move. There is one line that I thought that probably is very unpleasant for Tan Zhongyi. It's not very high on the list of moves for the computer, but if I take c takes d4, cd4, which is like hard to think, but if you switch to this mindset, I want a clear, simple position. So d4 and then d3. And you get, like, if you take, it's an isolated pawn, but again, white will be probably fast to go d5, yes? And if you take on d4, then white takes d e4 and bishop e3, like everything develops very easy. So this could be a clever, even like tricky choice for white.
Yeah.
Because it's like first thing you look at the position, cd4, d4, what am I doing? But if you understand there is d3 and you open up the files in the center, maybe this is a clever choice. d3. What I realized sometimes the best way to make a draw is actually play aggressive.
Yeah.
I've seen people in, usually it's a World Cup situation, like you win with black, some very sharp game, and then you need a draw with white. And then your opponent plays the Sicilian. And, you know, like very, on the surface, like very easy choice would say, okay, I will play something solid, like a Lapin or this or that. And then I see people who know theory very well, they go for neither of, and they go bishop g5.
Yes.
It's like very long, straightforward lines, and it's black who has to know how to make a draw, right? Because otherwise you just win with one. Yes, if you have the confidence, maybe you can play like principled chess and try to fight for initiative. Anyway, I'm happy that our position looks the way it looks. After 10 moves, it's not yet like complete simplifications. So maybe Tan will have, well, Tan definitely will try to get a chance, and maybe she will. Maybe she will after d5. Also, like the fact that she's on 130, so didn't spend any time in our game. Could it really be that she prepared everything? Or it's sometimes it's like a sign of nerves that I don't care, I just play fast, I cannot stand the pressure anymore. But again, like no, you cannot stand the pressure, but if you sense that you actually get a chance, we will see.
Yes. Actually, I think in this situation, maybe even I have a worse position, but seems like I have some chance on the board. It's better than the position is totally equal. So this
I agree. Like this one still has potential for black to play for a win. Yeah, I completely agree. And then e5, queen d5, black's probably happy with it. Let me see. So if e5, queen d5, bishop d3, then we can play our f5 move. Yeah, I agree. Like white, let's say, gives a check. One of the lines of computer, white gives a check, g6, queen e2.
Yes.
And how
bishop
do we
c4 here.
How do we continue? Bishop c4 is annoying, and b5 maybe
C4?
a4 or c4.
Yes.
Yeah, c4 or a4.
a4, yeah.
So that means black has to do what? Well, theoretically, even a move like king f7 is possible.
Actually, if I play black, maybe I just play e5.
Yeah. Actually, why not e5? e5, bishop c4, and if it goes bishop c4, queen, let's say d6 or whatever, and then it's no, queen d6, cd4,
ed4, maybe.
CD4, and then like e4 is what we want to do, but then d3 and everything opens. Yeah,
and maybe
everything opens. And
d4, b3,
d4, b3, bishop a3.
This is.
All right, so Wenjun takes on d4, but she starts with knight takes. So knight takes, pawn takes. This is what she has done.
Yes.
D takes e4 played, and now she plays d3. It's also clever. So same
Whoa,
thing,
yeah.
simplifying and also exchanging the knights immediately. Yeah. And after queen d4 takes on. So if we are playing with black, how do we make this position complex? Maybe there is maybe there is no way. ed3. If I just take on d3.
I think maybe she hasn't played d3.
Ah, she didn't play d3 yet. She does, yeah, but she does. Maybe we have to mention this, that for some people who are watching, they would think, why do they play d3? You can take on e4 and it's an extra pawn. But this is what black normally is happy with. Because your double d pawns don't do anything, and then black plays maybe bishop d, or maybe b5 even.
Yeah.
b5,
like this b5,
bishop b7. Black will win one of the d pawns later. I mean, d4 pawn will win it later, and then second d pawn will be weak.
Yes.
So d3, of course, is a much better move, and especially since we know white needs a draw to become the world champion. So d3 played, and I'm not even sure. Could it be that you go e3? e3, well, my point is, yes, if bishop takes,
yes,
it's a better version of the previous line, but still, you have two double pawns, so at least black has something to play for. And if pawn takes, then, to play some queen b6, castle, and I'm pawn down, but maybe some, some tricks. It's not so much worse for black.
Yes.
After this, it's not like black is just a pawn down, because it will be very hard for white to advance these pawns.
Yes.
And maybe you think, who knows, maybe one day bishop gets to c6, and maybe you push the f pawn, right? Castle f5, f4. Okay. I mean, maybe you need even something like that.
If Wenjun has played the g3, or let's say white pawn on g3, I think e3 is a very good move.
Ah, yes, so there are weaknesses, and then maybe h pawn goes.
Yes,
h5,
h4. Yes. Because after e3, bishop e3, I totally agree that black is better than e takes d3 with this d3 pawn.
So d3, let's see. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, objectively, I guess, if you just wanted to play the position, you don't know, let's say, there is no previous games played in the match, then I think just queen takes d4 is the easiest way to equalize. Queen takes d4 and white takes on e4, and you trade the queens, go bishop d7. But this is not in a current match situation. And this is not really what you can play in a current match situation. I think Tan takes.
Yes.
Yeah, she takes on d3, so at least to have to leave white with an isolated pawn on d4. So I'm thinking bishop d3.
Yep, I think bishop d3 is better than queen d3 to put the bishop on e4 and tries d5 in the future. Even white doesn't play d5, the bishop on this
diagonal is very good.
Yes.
And you know what? I'm thinking without the knights, so usually one of the problems of isolated pawn that d5 square is very good for the black knight. Yeah?
Yes.
Without the knights, even let's say black gets everything, white cannot play d5. It's still very hard to win with black.
Yes.
And if you are not careful, white actually can get a better position. Bishop d3, I'm thinking, what let's say if black castles, can I go d5 now? I was thinking d5 immediately but then pawn takes works. Yeah, queen takes, white is very happy. Bishop h7, yes, exchange and take on e7. And it's a draw, but pawn takes, and white doesn't have enough compensation. D5 is too much. But you're right, bishop e4 and then d5 in the right moment is fine. Wenjun still didn't take back on d3.
Yes, maybe
which is surprising.
Bishop d3, can black play bishop f6? Try to take on d4 immediately.
Bishop e3, for example. Bishop e3. And I guess you can castle?
Yes,
right?
I think nothing's better than
maybe
castle.
same thing. Castle, bishop e4. So if white really wants, it's bishop e4 and queen d3 or queen f3, rook d1.
Yeah.
It's somehow too solid for
Yes.
white. Like, this is the thing with queen's isolated pawn positions. Like, if you want to play for a win with white, it's not easy. Black finds resources, but if you just want to be solid, and actually black sometimes wins this kind of structures, but only if white is aggressive.
Yes.
Right, I think. Then you can overpush with white and maybe get this like weakness on d4 later on. But if white just plays reasonable moves in the center, it's very hard. So yes, few moves ago I was talking about how Zhongyi was successful in the opening, and then Wenjun found this knight takes d4 and d3, very clever choice.
Yes.
And now it's actually quite problematic for Zhongyi to get a game. We are not even talking about like how to win with black. First thing you have to do is to create something unknown for your opponent so that she can make mistakes. And here, yeah, this is like very straightforward. I'm wondering why Wenjun did not take the pawn on d3. Is she planning for queen d3? Which is, I guess, okay. But also, why do you?
Yes.
Why would you prefer queen d3 instead of bishop d3 is not clear. There is nothing wrong with queen d3, but maybe to have like fast d5, yeah, queen d3, for example, castles, and bishop. I was thinking bishop f4, rook d1, d5, something like that. Bishop f4.
But maybe b5 or bishop.
Yeah,
d7.
b5. Yeah, you can also go bishop d7, b5. Yeah, it's still not clear why queen d3 is better than bishop d3. Yeah, bishop d3 is much more natural.
So I think maybe we take back the position after the ninth move, knight a3. No, I will prove. Maybe I prove my opinion. Bishop
yeah,
a3.
your point. Yeah, maybe bishop a3. Yeah, I also what I did. I was like taking on a3 and c3, but maybe you take a3 and castle.
Yes.
This is maybe also. Again, I believe maybe white is objectively better, but you keep the. It's actually not easy to exchange everything. Yeah, you have some closed files. This would be another game, of course. After bishop d3. Wait, there is one line after bishop takes d3, bishop d7. The question is if d5 works or doesn't, right? Because otherwise I'll play bishop c6.
After bishop e4.
Bishop e4, I think still bishop c6. And I know this is also nothing. Yes, I understand. For black, like the black is not really better. Takes, just play bishop e3 and rook c1, rook c4, queen c2, all this. Yeah, it is hard. It is hard. Bishop d3 on the board. Castle quickly from Zhongyi. Now, what can you do? Bishop e4.
Yes.
Bishop e4 is very natural move. And for black, it's really... Yeah, it's actually hard to develop the queen side. It's like we were looking for the ways for black to play, maybe to play for a win, but if we are objective, it could be white who is better. Yeah, like rook b8. White can play... wait, rook b8. White has like a somewhat unpleasant move, queen d3. because now h6 doesn't work.
Yes.
h6, bishop takes h6, yes, and if the pawn takes, it's queen g3. So queen d3, and you will have to play g6. White gets another tempo with bishop h6, rook e8, and I don't know, d5 or rook c1 maybe?
Yes.
Yeah, rook c1. Again, like maybe white is not even much better, but how do you win this with black,
Yes.
right? Your dream is to finish the development, exchange like everything on the c file and make a draw. Yeah, so first opening moves are success for Wenjun, who, by the way, let's remind our viewers that it will be Wenjun's 5th win in the World Championship, so 5 times world champion, which is very impressive, and I don't think happened previously in a women's chess.
Yes.
Yeah. And so she won the title in 2018, so that's 7 years of championship, which is quite impressive nowadays, right? I mean,
Yeah.
because back in the day, I'm not sure, I think there were like very long periods of one lady being a women's world champion, but that's because there was no established cycle, right?
Yeah,
So like you play the match and then you wait for another challenger to appear, and it could be 5 years, or like Laska was a world champion for 27 years, but he played like 3 matches during these years, right? And then he lost to Capablanca, for example. And in the modern chess era, like even defending your world champion title twice is already something very impressive. And she's about to do it for the 4th time. Bishop d3 castle, bishop e4 played. Yeah. Here, it's even hard to think, like, I guess maybe, okay, now I have a theory. You somehow have to develop in such a way that when white goes d5, you go e5.
Yes.
And try to play, again, maybe white will be better, this again, you don't care. So maybe you go bishop d6, for example, here, so that white doesn't play bishop f4. Bishop d6, if d5, then e5. In fact, if white, like, it's too hasty to play d5 here, then after e5, black is very happy, because f5 next move. And this is something. So of course, white is not forced to go d5, can play queen f3 or queen h5 is what computer likes.
Yeah, I think maybe white just play some queen f3, bishop e3 first to develop all the pieces, and then to find if d5 is good or not.
Like there could be a moment when you go d5 and black cannot play e5.
Yes.
And this is what you're looking for, I guess, with white. Yeah, like to exchange these pawns, and then all the stuff is coming off the board. Yeah, but this could be the move. Bishop d6. From what I see, computer wants to come up with a different move. Rook to a7, same thing, defending b7, and I guess planning b5 and rook d7 one day. Yeah.
Yes.
But then if I wanted to be solid with white, I think bishop e3.
Can I play
b5?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for, because computer has b6, but then some queen b3, d5 happens.
Yes.
b5 is not a move, but it's not, again, maybe not so easy for us. d5, rook to d7, and for whatever reason, queen b1.
b1, yes.
Queen b1. Why is queen? I understand why queen b1, because if queen c2, then black has f5. And if you take on e6, there is rook c7 intermediate. So that's why you go to b1, so the queen cannot be attacked. And now f5 will be just terrible, so queen b1. Queen b1 is just better, right?
Better for white.
So you have to somehow go h6 and takes. Yeah, this is better for white and also quite safe for white. It's a big challenge for Zhongyi, at least to get some, I don't know, some strategic imbalance in the position. Because otherwise it's just like Wenjun cruising to a draw and her 5th World Championship title. Maybe we could try to, as any game, and from how it looks now, even like this game could be the last. Will we agree that the score, if imagine this game finished in a draw, the score does not reflect how tight, how hard the match was,
Yes.
even for the winner, because you think 6-2, 4 consecutive wins.
Actually,
There was warm up in Shanghai, and then Wenjun is so much better than she wins everything. No, it wasn't like that.
yes.
Every game was very hard. Every game, Zhongyi, okay, not every game, but some games Zhongyi really had like good chances. She was fighting well, and maybe like in some moments when she had to take the chance, she was missing this very, very final, finding the last move which was needed, right? Even this game which she could get advantage with black. She done everything correctly, just find this last move. No, it didn't happen. Bishop f6, attacking d4. Now, bishop e3 is very natural. You can, if you want, you can do other stuff. And with the bishop on f6, it has to be said, d5 immediately is possible.
Yes.
Because now e5 is not the same, right? Your bishop is on your bishop is on f6. After d6, white is just much better. The d6 is white is just much better. So, in fact, white can and honestly probably should play d5.
Yes,
yeah. Probably should play d5. ed5, and I guess you play bishop takes, right? Oh, yeah, bishop takes.
This is really
This is like so solid. Yeah.
Actually, I replayed the whole match from game 1 to game 8 yesterday because I want to make some report to show the whole match and what I thought in the match. And I found before game 5, actually in game 1 to game 4, Zhongyi she was the better player in the match, and the game is in Shanghai. Also, actually, we will think Wenjun will perform better in Shanghai, and Zhongyi will perform better in Chongqing. Actually, this is for me, it's very impossible to think after game 4, then Wenjun totally controlled the whole match and wins 4 in a row.
Yeah, that was absolutely incredible score.
Yeah.
Like considering how tight the match was, and I would agree. Like it all started with kind of Zhongyi looking better,
Yes.
even after, let's say, she wins and then she loses immediately. So the score is equal, but still she's the one kind of pushing, dominating, and so on. Yes. So game 5 then was like really crucial. Yeah, d5 was possible, but also there is nothing wrong with bishop e3, maybe even like more ambitious move.
Yes.
Bishop e3, because now it's not clear how black is planning to develop, right? I mean, you need to play bishop d7, bishop c6 at least to
equalize the
to complete the development. Otherwise, maybe white's going to be better, and white can play either queen b3 or queen f3 on the next move. Bishop, it is like, in fact,
Yes.
very solid. Also relatively easy to play for white.
Yes.
Because some positions, I guess maybe with more pieces on the board, when again people watching the game at home, like supporters, only look at the engine and they see, let's say, computer gives advantage to one side, slight advantage, and they think, okay, then this is easy to play. It's not always like that. Sometimes it is an advantage, but only if you play like some really precise moves, which are not obvious to us humans. It's something like we were talking with you about patterns. In some, let's say, give me the structure, pawns are this way, I know where to put the pieces. And some are like completely alien to me, and I have to make decision on each move. So in some other positions, maybe you could say I'm slightly worse, but now white has to find moves and this and that, and maybe she will make mistakes. Here, it's very unlikely that white will like misplay, and so the mistake has to be tactical, right? So to make strategic mistake here, no, not a grandmaster like Wenjun, because it's so like maybe one of the most popular structures in your career. Like if you play. Maybe all your life you play e4, e5, and then you don't get this, right? But any other openings, Sicilian, somebody plays a Lapin against you to 2c3, and then this is your isolated pawn. And from any other opening, I think. Of course, like if you play closed opening, then like from Nimzo, from this, from many different lines, you get this structure, or opposite colors, right? So sometimes black has the isolated pawn. So we all know at least like the guidelines, the typical plans of how to play in these kind of structures. Wenjun spent slightly more time, but once again, the position is relatively simple. Yeah, you can play this with maybe with 10 minutes on your clock.
And actually, we need to mention before this match, Wenjun mostly played d4 instead of e4 in the first move. So for her to play a position like this is very...
She will know, she will know what to do. Exactly. Yeah, like a player who switches to e4 after having like a long period in his or her career playing d4. Not very often, I think, like from men's, let's say, top, I think maybe Kramnik at some point. He was excluded, he was like not playing e4 at all, and then he like started to play almost all the games e4.
Yes.
So Kramnik, because let's say, you can say Magnus plays e4 and d4, but he was doing it all the time. Like he was like very universal, and then English opening also, like he does everything. And mostly if you started as like e4 or d4 player, you very often continue. Maybe Aronian also, I'm thinking. Aronian was playing a lot of d4, and then later he started, but still he's mostly d4 player.
Yes.
He's mostly
d4.
No, but closed opening, let's say. Closed opening. In women's chess, I'm thinking it's actually more common to have a player who plays either open or closed openings, right? So there is like hardly any player can think of. Maybe Zhongyi Fan at her prime, she was playing like all the openings.
Yes.
And other than that, usually they have their main opening, and then they can play. Let's say somebody plays d4 and then occasionally plays e4, but we all know it's a surprise. Yeah. Now with Wenjun, next tournament she plays, you don't know what to expect, because she can start e4, which was a big success in the World Championship match, or she can go back to her d4, which she knows as well, like very, very good. Yeah, opening choices nowadays are very important, of course. Yeah, the critical situation for Tan, because again, now it's not even clear how you equalize, and your task is much harder than that. You have to like equalize, but also not simplify.
Yes,
which is really hard.
For example, let's say if Tan Zhongyi wants to play rook b8, then b5, bishop b7. As normal, maybe it's not a bad move, because after bishop f4, black just play rook a8
and d4 is hanging. That's actually a very nice argument. Right.
Yes, but now I play bishop e3.
Bishop e3.
Please continue.
Exactly.
Yes, so it's really hard for Tan Zhongyi to make some.
I didn't realize, by the way. So rook b8. You can play other stuff, but also you can play bishop f4.
Yes.
Bishop f4 and just return if you like. Yeah. So rook b8 is not a move. Bishop d7, I was thinking. Bishop d7, bishop takes.
Yeah, but I
Rook
think
b8,
bishop
a6, rook b2. And in some cases, in fact, like you can sacrifice a pawn like this and have enough compensation. First, here, I'm not sure if you have enough compensation, and even if you do, like potential for your compensation, you win the pawn back and we agree a draw, which is not on your agenda, let's say. Yeah, so,
yes.
So this is, again, this is a tough situation. And like when you face such choices, so that means like you will not play natural moves that lead to like draw or like equal position. You'll have to like constantly do maybe even more damage to your position. It's really sad situation for Zhongyi. G7, G6. G7, G6 is not a bad move, I guess. Like structurally, we are not afraid of making it. But it again gives white time to, let's say, play normal move, more normal move. Rook c1, queen f3, something. Yeah, so you just bring. Yeah, actually, queen f3 might be the most straightforward, because there is bishop d4, right? But white is not scared of bishop d4. You have rook a d1, e5, and then the computer finds some like bishop d5 immediately. What I do if I need a draw, I take and maybe even go queen d3, the most boring. Bishop d5 is stronger, I guess. Bishop d5 is stronger.
Yes.
Bishop d5, rook takes d4. You know.
And if you play queen b6, I think
queen b6, rook e7.
Yes, maybe
rook e7 wins. Yeah, rook e7, bishop f5, and rook takes b7. White is just like much better.
Yes. Or if I don't want to take any risk, just to play queen d3.
Yeah, queen d3, queen d4. This is impossible to lose.
Yes.
Right. So after g6, it seems that Wenjun has ways to simplify the position to her liking. I guess she will spend some time pondering over these opportunities. So maybe this will be our time to take a break after first hour of game 9, and we will return in some 10 minutes with the guest.
You know what time it is. Venue tour of the FIDE Women's World Championship match in Chongqing. Follow me, let's check it out. It's an absolutely gorgeous and super fancy hotel, which is very fitting for a prestigious event of this caliber. As you can see, this place is huge, and these markers ensure that you won't get lost. This is the press room where we have our post-game press conferences, but as you can see, it also doubles as a fan zone. Chessboards sprawled out everywhere, and little fans from around China here to support their favorite players. We've been very lucky to experience beautiful sunny weather during the championships here in China, so a lot of the walking space here is outside. Let's check out the playing arena. Here we have the players' arena, the battleground for where all the games are taking place. And as you can see, the beautiful trophy is on display, so they know exactly what they are fighting for. The players' lounges here are a lot more private, with comfy couches, snacks as usual, and a big TV to follow the games. It's right outside the playing hall, But unlike Shanghai, it is completely separate. Once again, we are broadcasting the match in 2 languages, Chinese and English. This is our English studio with Grandmasters Zhongyi and Evgenij Miroshnichenko breaking down every game and providing the entertainment for you. And that concludes our venue tour, one of the nicest venues we've seen in chess. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments. For now, let's get back to the game.
Welcome back to FIDE Women's World Championship match game 9. And you guys at home may have noticed some slight difference in the setup of the commentators. My pleasure to welcome Dana Reznice. We don't have the caption for you, so I'll try to remember them all. Women's Grandmaster, FIDE Executive Board Deputy Chair and a technical delegate here in Zhongyi.
Correct.
Welcome.
Thank you,
Welcome to
Evgenij.
the
I'm
show.
happy to be here today.
Yeah, so I think we'll get the diagram on the board in about a couple minutes or so. What's the overall feeling? Because I keep hearing that it looks like a one-sided match, and I'm in a stronger position of that. The score does not reflect, in my opinion, it does not reflect how well the fight was and still is.
Evgenij, I think there are two sides of the stories. If you only look at the result, of course, it's the one-side fight, because as of today, the result is 2 against 6. So Wenjun is also only half a point away from keeping her title and her crown on the head for another year. But if you indulge deeper in the match and follow the games and follow the dynamics, then of course you would see that it's not that easy. And Zhongyi has been playing a very dynamic and interesting match. Of course, when you are lagging behind in a match, your risk appetite is growing. Sometimes you take too risky decisions because you want to fight back. And at that high level, of course, normally such steps are punished.
Yeah, it is really hard. Like, I guess maybe -2 or +2 for Wenjun, and you feel like you're at the point of no return. So practically any draw.
Especially because Wenjun is actually a very stable player. I remember her very well from 2023, where when I also had an opportunity to serve as a technical delegate of FIDE at the match between Wenjun and Lei Tengjie. So I had the feeling that she's like a machine. She was very cheerful, very open, very much engaging with other people around herself till the opening ceremony. And when the opening ceremony finished, she totally closed herself for the whole of the match. So she was 100, even probably 200% concentrated until she finished the tournament and then opened up like a flower again. Yeah, so you kind of joke with her.
Right, yeah. So, well, today is non-zero probability that we will see, Wenjun finishing the match.
So basically it's the match ball today, right?
Yeah, that's the first match ball on the service. If they would go with, if we would go with tennis terminology, so you have the white pieces. I'm surprised she's still thinking on her move, and I think maybe my digital board is lagging behind a little bit because Queen B3 apparently being played. Yeah, and this is the position.
At this point, I don't know what's your judgment, but I think that there's no big opportunity now at this point for the black to play for the win because they are lagging behind the development, and they still need to solve some issues, how to get out their pieces and get some harmony in their positioning, right?
That's what we were discussing with my colleagues. Originally, Black's position is not so bad, but keeping in mind that you have to avoid, have to avoid anything simplification.
So you need to find some complexity in the game, and again take some risks that are difficult to be imagined in such position, which is more or less equal, probably slightly better for white because of the development, but
good development advantage.
But quite plain. Okay, chess is never plain. Chess is a game that always suggests some resources, but instead of Tan, would have preferred to have some more, complexity in the game to fight for the win.
Right, and after the move Queen B3, if I remember correctly, computer was suggesting that Black practically equalizes if he takes on D4, Rook A D1, E5, but this is objectively best series of moves if you do not have the previous history. It's your game one.
True.
If you game one,
then you can be very satisfied, make a draw and go home. Yes, you've done your job, but not today.
But this one is a very, very sad choice if Tan Zhongyi has to play like that. Right, and what else I wanted to ask you? I was thinking about your appearance on the show. It's not your first time in China, if I remember correctly, or is it?
No, it's not my first time. I've been here as a politician many years ago.
Oh.
But for chess, yes, it was 2 years ago that I spent here almost a month. There was the same model, that half of the match was played in Shanghai and the second part was here in Chongqing. I think it's a nice way how to equalize the opportunities for both players, because at least in Latvia we say that if you play at home, then even the walls help you. Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's the case here now for Tan, because her beginning in Chongqing Park was also unfortunate. But,
but that's something that I think very common for many chess players, that it really depends, your perception of the environment, of the city you are in, really depends on the result. Because maybe you feel extra pressure playing at home and then the tournament doesn't go very well.
Yeah, that would be for me, for example. When I'm at home, I cannot really play because there are too many other duties and distractions. And when you play chess, Kaisa is a very jealous lady. You need to devote 100% of yourself to chess. No distractions should be there.
Yeah, I imagine there is no distraction for Tan Zhongyi because that's the ultimate competition you can participate in. But yeah, still,
of course, they're both professionals, but yeah, I come back to Chongqing with 2 years gap. Happy to be here.
Right. Yeah. So that was my first time in China. I have to say, I'm so impressed by the way it is all organized, the World Championship match, how, let's say, the players are treated there, how we are treated there. It's really a pleasure. And I imagine as a delegate, you are one of the few people to thank for this. Yes. So
this time it was very easy to actually work with the Chinese counterparts, because it was kind of a replica of 2 years ago event, and that was very, very professionally and very practically well organized. So I can only once again say thank you to Shanghai and also Chongqing Sports Bureau and also the Chinese Chess Association for their collaboration and work and support. I mean, women need attention, women need prize funds, women need high-level events so that they are motivated to play and to choose chess as their profession. So, and China is one of those places that contributes to that largely.
Yeah, and in fact, I am very happy such events are taken to really high level, because as you said, I was thinking of this recently. It seems to be a bit of inequality in, maybe not for the very elite players, but let's say men grandmaster, we call it open section, mostly it's men playing, up to rating, say top 50, you do have tournaments across the year. And for the ladies, if you're not a part of World Championship cycle, which is like really reserved for the few, it's not a lot of tournaments to play. So I really hope it changes somehow.
Yeah, but I also think that it was important actually that FIDE established the same cycle for women, which was not the case before, right? So now there are equal chances for both men and also women to play in the same selection events. That's not only, you know, fair, and we really get the best of the best coming to the top and to the match, but it also gives an opportunity for them to earn and to play on regular basis, at least when we speak about the elite players.
And even for the younger players, that when I'm, let's say, uprising star in women's chess, I understand what I'm fighting for, that there is like established cycle, there is Grand Prix series, and so on and so on. Yes, it is really...
It's probably a little bit complex to tell the story on how you become a champion, how many stages you have to go through, and what exactly you need to win. The story is a little bit difficult to be told to no professionals, but I think, yeah, the players themselves, they know it very well, and they appreciate the stability and consecutivity and sustainability of the system. Yes.
Right, and while we were talking about the future of women's chess, Bishop takes d4. Was played.
So simplifying the position, probably because of the lack of the other serious alternatives, because Rook b8 did not really work because of probably Bishop f4, right? And
yeah, so that's one of the arguments that we've made. Yeah, Rook b8. First of all, maybe it doesn't solve all the problems, but considering the circumstances, like White can go Bishop f4, Rook a8, and I believe there is much better move for White, but Bishop e3 would be the most annoying for Black.
That would
so
be the most annoying, indeed.
You played Rook b8, and then you're forced back to this position, and now Rook b8 is no longer.
Yeah, but then if not for Rook b8, how to develop?
Yeah, it's very hard. You can
the bishop from c8 needs to come out somehow, right?
Yeah.
Even though we say that the bishops are like snipers, they can sit back and shoot far, but not in this position.
Not from c8. Yeah, regrettably so. Tan had to take on d4, and now it looks like after, well, Rook a d1 seems the most natural.
Yeah, that's the most natural developing move.
d1 and
so now for the White player, all the pieces are optimally positioned. There's, you know, as you teach the kids, always look for the piece that doesn't work. Yes, here you wouldn't even find the way how to improve. Yes,
it's hard to find a piece which doesn't work. And here, after e5, White just wins the pawn back, and everything gets symmetrical, simplified. I'm not even sure what, let's say, considering the situation, what move am I playing here? It could be Queen d5, honestly.
Or even Bishop d5.
Yeah, Bishop d5, I agree, is the better move, but all I'm saying, like, maybe I'm just like simplifying in a very...
Exchanging the pieces.
Even in an ugly way, you can say. But but it's so simple that White should have no problems reaching a draw. Something I wanted to mention about like precisely this kind of position, that let's pretend that Bishop e3, White somehow doesn't take the queen but just takes the bishop back. White has still like full compensation for the pawn because
of the underdevelopment
bishop
of
on c8
Black.
being so passive. Yeah, so far looks like nothing will stop Zhongyi from, Zhu Wenjun from clinching this match in this game. Fantastic performance, of course. We were trying to recall.
So the precision rate of Zhu Wenjun at this tournament is extremely high, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So there was a game that she lost, but then again, she was playing like very good until this very moment when she made a mistake in a rook endgame. There was another game in round 4, I think, game number 4, which she was in trouble. But apart from that, it's absolutely incredible. Something that equally is incredible at the moment. Maybe that's what separated the players here. So until the game was unclear, let's say each of the games, until it was unclear, and even like with the help of the engine, you wouldn't be able to tell who's better. I think it was equal match. And the main difference was that when one of the players gets the chance, and in terms of taking these chances, because Zhongyi kept missing her chances when she would have, which is not the case with Zhu Wenjun. Like the moment
Ju
she gets
Wenjun
the chance,
uses
it's a
that,
machine, right? The moment the position is winning, she never gets it, never lets it back.
True.
And this is really, really impressive. This is really champions play, what can I say? 4 in a row though in the World Championship match.
Can you remember anything like that before?
No, we were trying to recall it, and you can come up with, let's say, Karpov was leading 5-0 against Kasparov, but there was unlimited match. So there
And
was
many draws were
many
in
draws
between,
in between.
right.
So it was 5 wins against 0
They
wins.
were playing
but yeah,
months.
yeah, these people were playing for month and month. Yeah, Rook A to D1 on the board. And other than that, I cannot really recall anything similar, which once again, some people would attribute to it wasn't an even match and maybe Zhongyi was playing worse. And I would not agree. I
But
would
it's
not
a
agree.
pity still. I mean, all of us, we have booked the tickets for a much longer match.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. And if
have
we
been enjoying much tougher.
right, we can confess that we were, well, technically expecting not only all 12 games to be played, but there was a day reserved for the tiebreak as well.
Was it you who were telling the story that somebody had asked the artificial intelligence the
Yeah,
prediction of the match?
we
It was
have
quite
to.
a funny result.
We have to ask my co-commentator, who, if the game's still on, we will rejoin with him. He said that they've asked, like a group of Chinese grandmasters, they've asked DeepSeek, which is like artificial intelligence model, who will win the match, or rather no, what score will be? Yeah, what will be the final score? And it came up with one player, not mentioning the names. Interesting.
So it could be both.
Interestingly,
Or
not
Ju
mentioning
Wenjun,
the
yeah.
names. It said like one player will win with 6.5 against 2.5. And they said, well, according to Zhongyi,
Let's see how it goes today.
No, they didn't believe at all. They said, okay, stupid bot,
Yeah.
You don't understand.
Still
what
to
chess
improve,
is.
yes.
Yeah, right. You don't understand what chess is
Yeah,
about.
but interesting that they didn't mention which player, right? So probably they've analyzed some, characteristic features of the games.
Yeah, it could be. And nowadays, you don't even know how deep this goes with artificial intelligence.
That's scary a little bit, no?
Yeah, it is a little bit scary. I have to say, like my interactions chess-wise with artificial intelligence was in St. Louis studio. We were doing, I guess, Grand Chess Tour events, something, and there was a guy responsible for generating stats, probabilities to win, and so on and so on. And if you think that from current tournament situation, they simulate 15,000 different outcomes. Okay, let's say from this score 6-2, you simulate 15,000 these kind of matches, and maybe there is still some percentage where some realities where Zhongyi wins 4 out of 4. So that's, of course, amazing. Yeah, I think
That's mathematics, but chess players always look at the position on the board, right?
absolutely. Yeah. Bishop d4, e4 will be played.
Did you feel any nervousness today at the players' behavior?
I'm still not sure. Like, I guess now Ju Wenjun is no longer nervous. I can honestly, like, it's easier for me to understand what happens to Zhongyi. Of course, she's very unhappy, but the objective for today's game, despite being very hard to achieve, was very clear, right? I have to play for a win no matter what. Ju Wenjun, like, if you are not her, if you are her supporter, her coach, or us, like, observing from afar, you think the job is done, 6-2, it's one draw left.
But that's sometimes the fastest way how to lose, yes?
Absolutely. But I'm thinking, and then imagine today I'm getting somewhat suspicious position. And I understand, like, if I lose this, tomorrow I'm black. If I lose the black game, I've lost 2 in a row, and now my advantage is not 4 points, but only 2 points. So strangely enough, like, today was very, very important game not to lose, because, like, losing this one could make again the match situation look shaky, even though you're in a big plus. And I understand, like, if you are in this state of mind, that there is no comfortable score unless you finish the match. Like, the equal score, you're nervous. Like, you're in the minus, of course, you're nervous, and even like a big plus, you're still nervous. So that means how hard it is for the players.
Yeah.
And you stay in this kind of state for for the whole match for 2 weeks. Or,
True.
yeah, so it is.
What helps me sometimes in such situations when I have to finish something, it is just to imagine that I still have a far way to go, so that I don't concentrate on this very momentum, and that somehow helps to release the pressure.
Yeah, this could be a clever advice. Yeah, this could be a clever advice.
But okay, I believe both ladies, they have their team members who also work as psychologists, not only chess masters and grandmasters helping, but also trying to give some, share some experience on the tournament and match.
Yeah. I don't know about if there is a dedicated person as a psychologist.
I'm not so sure. But Mihua, for example, for Wenjun, he's been already working with Dinsley Ren before, so also helping Dinsley Ren to come back in his matches. So.
Yeah, and I believe you're absolutely right. So sometimes it helps more than even the moves, because of course, you can repeat the opening before the game, but normally preparing for World Championship match,
it's several months before, right?
You've analyzed for several months.
You'd be a very bad student trying to learn new things at the very last end. No.
So what helps immensely is having somebody next to you who are comfortable in company of, right? And then if it goes well, to laugh together, and somebody would tell you, okay, well played, but don't get overexcited.
Overexcited, right.
Or vice versa, if it doesn't go well, there is still a chance. Right.
Okay. So Wenjun is straightforward, just taking the pawn back on d4.
Yeah,
right?
take, goes queen b4, a5 played.
Queen d4, most probably, right?
Queen takes d4 was just played, and it's honestly not too much to commentate things on the board. We all understand this game will continue somehow, right? Zhongyi will not offer a draw, or technically they cannot even offer a draw until move 40, but yeah, that's...
But you have here a natural fighting spirit, right? They both play till the very end.
Queen takes, rook takes. Well, but it's harder and harder to imagine. To be honest, harder and harder to imagine how you...
It's difficult to make a mistake or a serious blunder in such a comparatively simple position, right?
Yeah, it's really...
There are no weaknesses in White's position.
Bishop e6. To be honest, bishop e6 could be...
That's probably the best alternative, right?
Yeah, but I'm thinking it could be also that it means throwing the
bishop
white flag.
b7?
Yeah, bishop b7, I'm thinking.
Rook
bishop
b8?
b7, rook b8, and I'm thinking bishop d5. And then you go rook here.
Yep.
And then you take everything. And
then
you're up a pawn. And then again, some would say it's still a draw and will be correct, but at least you won a pawn with black. Yeah. So maybe it's not as simple after all, after bishop e6. If you are too naive, I guess White doesn't have to take on b7.
That's the beauty about chess, right? It's not draws. It's you don't have to take necessarily what is given.
Right. But also, you said that, and I keep saying this almost every broadcast, the very dangerous mindset during the game, which is still ongoing, is to say, okay, now I know nothing bad will happen to me. Bishop b7, bishop d5, and I will make a draw. And then, oops, and you see, okay, I'm up and down now. Yeah, so one of the ways to get in trouble is to think it's impossible to get in trouble.
True.
Let's talk about your chess.
My chess.
Yes.
There's no chess since I work
chess?
for FIDE. That's the funny thing. I have the least time to play chess myself.
Right.
Even when I was a minister, I think I always found some time and opportunities to play.
You've played the Olympiad being a minister.
Yes, right. And also my German teams league and Swedish teams league. Now it's almost impossible. But there's also, I think, some explanation and motivation is missing probably because when you do something else, for example, being an active politician, then to play chess, that's such a nice getaway. Your brain is totally indulged. This game sucks you in, and you cannot think of anything else. And that's a nice way how to relax from the everyday duties and problems, issues whatsoever. But now when there's so much chess around, you know, when I want to get relaxed, that's the last thing probably that I want to do, is to play chess. Yes.
Well, at least like to play professional games
true.
with something at stake. Yeah,
True. And,
that's interesting. Okay, I know on a somewhat probably smaller scale, but that's the thing with me. Like the moment, even when I was coaching, I would once in a lifetime like come back and play a serious tournament, and now. I mean, first of all, I watch people who play good chess. So when I'm back at the board, my measly attempt at playing chess, and I think, no, like the
that's
guys
not
I'm
the best version of you, yeah.
Exactly. The guys I'm commentating on would play this position much better.
The problem is that you've been raised as a professional, as the future champion. So anything that is not the best is a no-go for you. You cannot, I presume you cannot have pleasure of just playing chess as many amateurs would do.
Yeah,
And,
so that's...
At some point I understood this, that you know, why there are not that many women in the chess world in general. And then I remember that, you know, when I finished my high school, I had to take a decision basically if to become a chess professional or do something else in my life. And I decided not to become a chess professional. And then I thought, okay, if I cannot be the world chess champion, so I don't do anything to become one, you know, then there's no point to play chess at all. And there was quite a long break in my chess.
So you were not playing
because
at all.
I was not playing, I mean, time to time, but because I thought that, if it's not the ideal game, then let's not do that. And I think that that's the problem for many women, that they don't understand that, okay, not everyone will become the world chess champion, but still, even if you cannot be the very best, it's worth playing. And even if you don't want to play, there are so many other professions in the chess world. You can become an arbiter, a fair play officer, an organizer, a commentator, an influencer, whatsoever. So many alternatives. But when your mind is set to becoming a champion, anything else is not an alternative for you.
Yeah, but like you're not taking any compromises.
Yeah,
exactly, right.
So I think this is something that needs to be also changed, and we are trying with our social initiatives and women empowerment initiatives. We try to tell the women that yes, it's still it can still be a huge part of your life. Absolutely. And you can have profession here, even if you have not completed your dreams in professional chess.
Right, and maybe it would be our address to the folks at home who are watching this show that there is nothing wrong as like playing chess as a social activity, as a hobby. And
so many of my friends spend hours and hours just playing chess, and having lots of fun. Yeah, so. But anyway, I think I will not convince you that this is
once being there, like, and what was my, I think I was like in top 50 on a couple of occasions. Like, it's very hard to convince myself that I can just like play on club level.
250 is also okay, yes.
Yeah. So the moment you start going back to professional tournaments, you think of your rating, and it's a bad rating, and you used to have more. So I can only imagine how, let's say, players who play physical sports, because like in chess at least you have a longevity. Of course you're not getting, the brain's not getting sharper with age.
But Kochno and other examples show that you can play excellent chess.
Counter examples to this. But like when you lose physical abilities, like you're not as fast and so on, like how hard it is on your psychology, it's incredible.
If that sports has been the whole life, yes. For you.
So we are in a way we are blessed chess players that you can still do like coaching, commentary, journalism, and so on.
No, probably it's the same with other sports as well. But again, you need to have some motivation and a little bit of talent as well.
Absolutely. Right.
So Ju is thinking.
Ju is thinking. Right, because I mentioned...
So if I take on b7, the pawn, rook b8, are there any other alternatives besides bishop d5? I'm not forced to follow the line.
We can go, say, go to f3, rook takes...
And now you have to save your pawn.
Wait, maybe...
Rook
can
a4?
rook a4 make a draw?
Rook a2?
Rook takes a2... I've blundered again. Rook takes, but this time I actually blundered for real.
And the rook comes on
A1.
b8, for example, or d8.
Yeah, but b8 is exactly what I've blundered, because rook b8, and I have to make
And
a
rook
luft for the
b2,
king, and
and
rook
voila.
b1. Rook b1.
I'm winning.
Yes, then rook b1, you are winning. If
Sure.
you exchange the rooks, I think. Yeah. So maybe not to take on b7 at all is the answer.
So what would be the answer?
I'm actually thinking bishop d5 without taking on b7, because now rook d8, rook d1, and we get the rook endgame.
Which is totally fine, right?
Which is like absolutely fine.
Safe space for white.
Rook takes, yeah, rook c8, I can play again g3, h4, whatever, and now they get the potential.
Just to open a little window for the white king to come to the center.
Right.
Because which one is the strongest piece in the ending?
Is the king.
The
yeah.
king it is, right?
Well, remember the game, first game that Wenjun won, which
Yes.
was in game 3, I think, where white king with the rooks in opposite colored bishops, he entered black's position to like g7 or something. And it was a very long game. At some point we ran out of things to talk to with my co-commentator. And we were discussing that maybe we are not taught correctly when people say the king's value. You know, when you're learning the game and you start learning about piece value. And
It's a million's worth, baby, but you have to keep it in house. Yes.
The king, the bishop, the knight and the bishop are 3 pawns, and so is the king in the endgame, right? In the middle game, of course, you don't want to get checkmated. But I'm thinking maybe it's more than 3 pawns. Like an active king in the endgame, it can be
worth of a million, as I tell you.
Absolutely.
Or at least 1 point.
Right. And bishop d5 on the board from Wenjun.
So, no risk appetite for her tonight.
Well, in this case, exactly. But like draw and a win are of the same value.
True.
So, it is really a bit. Still, when a match like this ends, I feel a bit sad. You know, for Zhongyi, who went a very, very long road to qualify.
It is actually a very long road to qualify and to become a challenger. It's for the winner, he sits and waits, but the others are going through, oh my God, what
right, and then
what selection procedure, right?
You know, the end of her challenge, and especially in such a way, because so last couple of times the Open World Championship finished either in the last game or in the tiebreak, and after the tiebreak, even though you lost, you're completely exhausted. And here it's game 9, so you don't even feel like you've played the entire match. And it's always
sometimes it's only one game. I believe you've had this feeling that you play a very long game and you failed somewhere and you lose the game. I mean, it's not okay to give up early because, you know, probably the difference, the advantage of the opponent is not that big, but at the end of the day, you lose the game. And then you are physically and also emotionally exhausted and depleted, and you understand that you've spent so much energy for nothing, right?
Right.
And after one game, it's sometimes, you know, such a strong feeling. I can imagine what the feeling is after a match where the amount of energy is immense that you've spent. Yes.
Yeah. And one thing that I wonder if we talked at all, but I just realized that Wenjun's experience in playing World Championship matches is getting kind of bigger, and advantage in experience. It's getting bigger and bigger because it is an event that you do not get the chance to play anywhere else. Like your local town championship is not played in a 12 games match, and it's absolutely different atmosphere.
True.
Right, and as you said, like you lose a very long, exhausting game, but tomorrow you play a different opponent. If it's a Swiss system, that theoretically you're supposed to play a bit weaker opponent, who has also lost maybe their previous game. But here you have to show up against the same player who is getting the same amount of confidence as you lose with every game, right? And maybe there was a shift in this match as well, because first few games, Tan looked superior. So she was like making her decisions faster. She had some pressure on the board, on a clock, and even like
self-confidence
some
is such an
wave,
important factor in chess. Yes.
Then after her loss in game 5, and it seems like this, what's you call it, the sand watch or glass watch, like you know, so you have two two vessels, and then the sand runs from one vessel to the other. So that's a limited amount of confidence for two players, and then one loses the confidence, the other picks it up.
Yeah, and the lack of confidence during the game, that's very dramatic, because it takes time for you then to take decisions, simple decisions that otherwise you would make easily. You spend the precious time, and then you lack it when you need to take it for some more complex calculations. Yes? So it's important that you feel free to make a move, and you have this.
Absolutely. So when you don't second guess yourself,
that you don't question yourself.
Absolutely, because it happened to me, especially after you kind of either had a bad result in a tournament, or you're coming back after a long break.
True.
You don't see what's wrong with your move, and still you kind of come back and calculate the same lines. I push the pawn and he takes the pawn.
And when you analyze the game afterwards, I mean, those are easy solutions that normally you would have been making without a hesitance, right?
Yeah, absolutely, much faster.
But when you are there in this fighting mood, then that's totally different. But that also is what makes difference in the competition, you know. Competition is not the same as the training process, yes.
Absolutely.
The fact that you know everything or many things doesn't necessarily make you the best athlete, yes, because you need to be able to act under a super tense stress situation, yes. So.
Right. Well, I think the game slowly but surely I wouldn't say comes to an end, but really more potential simplifications. White king's gonna get
and the white king we're just on time. If you exchange everything, rook c1 check, king e2, rook c2, and then you cover yourself with.
Absolutely, yes. So a check here, king e2, rook c2, and white. Well, white actually can move the king and take the a5 pawn, but rook
that's
d2,
also an alternative.
D2 is the good move. So it's not, I imagine it's not impossible that the game just ends like this. Right, it's nice that you've touched on this subject, that being in a competition is not the same as like studying the game at home. And again, I think we had this discussion during one of the games with Zhongyi, but nowadays it's more and more, I say this trifecta of like what chess is: science,
sports or art,
or
a combination of
art. You can always play a nice game. So I don't think this art component goes anywhere. So you're no longer an artist that you can, I don't know, invent a new move on move 3. I'm sorry, this is not happening. But you can still play a nice, inspired chess game. Science, yes, you can analyze something very deeply and so on. But ultimately, it's a sport. Right?
It is, of course.
We have access, pretty much all of us have access to same computers, more or less the same amount of information, and who can perform better here and now, right? And nobody cares that after the game, I come back to my room, I check with the computer and I was winning if I lost the game, right?
True.
So you have to perform, and maybe that's one of the reasons, so like this computer preparation and stuff, one of the reasons that chess is getting younger. It's a lot of young grandmasters.
Yeah, it requires a strong physical endurance, of course. I'm not even talking about the ability to memorize things. With computer analysis now, you can go very deep on in various variations, right? And I would say not the sky, but the human being's brain capacity is the limit. So, and of course, the younger you are, normally, the better you can memorize things, but also the physical endurance, right? It's you know, if you are not physically fit, then my experience shows that after the third hour, your brain just refuses to work properly, and you make mistakes.
Yeah, that's a good subject as well, because I don't think we stress this enough, because when we chess commentators, chess people, we start talking about you need endurance, and then some people just laugh at us, like, you guys sitting at the chair, you're not running or cycling or whatever.
But there are also some scientific analysis that shows how much of the energy, how many calories you spend during the day.
First of all, we do burn calories during playing, during a chess game. And I think what's most important, what's the hardest thing to do, it's not like to calculate, to predict something, but to remain tense in full concentration for the duration of the entire game. Because the most concentration of like a brain activity intense professions still have this moments of when you can release the concentration.
Here you release the concentration and you're dead.
One move and you're done.
You're done.
No, that's
true.
That's that separates us from like many other sports. Let's say there is no advantage big enough that you cannot spoil with like one bad move. So unlike say basketball, and I'm plus 30 points, whatever, and then we have 1 minute left, and then I say, okay, I can no longer lose it. Here, believe me, I can.
Yeah.
All right, so Tan at least finds rook d6, which is like not entirely simplifying everything.
Simplifying everything
at the same time, white can take on e6. I just realized rook e6 and go check. Go check, exchange here, think go to d5, go to go to d5, go to b5, and this is a draw if I've ever seen one. So Wenjun is getting closer and closer to her 5th title. Right.
Also, the rook endings are one of the most complex ones. Yeah,
but not I guess not this type of rook
but in
endings.
general, I mean, that's the fastest way how to get asleep is to take and try to study rook endings book, right? Because it's it's the most complex one.
That's what I'm torturing my young students with. Like,
so that's your check on whether or not they will survive as a chess players. Yes.
It's hard to tell, because I always thought I'm a product of they call it Soviet school. Well, technically it was one of the little part of my childhood was Soviet Union, but still, like we all.
But we learn like from even me. I've learned from those books. Yes, so
absolutely yes. And we were taught in a way we were taught the game backwards, right? So they teach you how the pieces move, and then start showing you some studies and end games and so on. And I always thought it was very clever. But nowadays I can see some people, maybe it's a special talent, they're just like pretty much learning the game, playing against the computer, picking up some patterns, and maybe that's just another way of playing a beautiful game. That's
probably faster way how
to learn.
Chess. The question is if it's the best chess, what you can have, but a decent one for sure.
But then again, we don't have the magical formula how to, let's say, you approach a chess club and they cannot guarantee you will become a good player, right? And there is some like a lot of effort, a lot of studying, and a bit of magic needed all together.
True.
Right, so what's next for Dana Resnica? Like in terms of chess and FIDE activities, like what's your next travel connected to?
I think my next travel will be to the totally different continent, to Americas. We'll be traveling to Mexico for a special occasion. Those who follow FIDE social media, they would have noticed that this year is a special year. It's been announced the Year of Social Chess. So we dedicate each of the months to some of our special social initiatives. And nevertheless, this is the whole month that is dedicated to chess for kids with autistic spectrum disorder. And there's many trainings and seminars and projects ongoing in this area. We have for the first time also launched the Continental Prison Chess Championships, because our Intercontinental Championship that is normally held in October, already for the fourth time, for the fourth time, last year it was there. We see that the demand is so high that we decided to make the Continental Championships as well, so that these people who are there and who spend their days training and getting better and better, would have additional motivational event. So we'll have these continental championships and a conference in Mexico, and Malawi is the second place for the continental conference. So we use chess, you know, not only as sports for elite and high-level athletes, but also as a very strong tool for, you know, social well-being of people in different areas, starting from schools, where we use chess as an educational tool for the kids to get a possibility to learn the 21st century skills through a game, through gamification, yes, and not only as a chess as a discipline, but I think the beauty of the chess is that the game can be deconstructed, and you can, in the educational process, you can choose different elements of it and use it also in teaching other subjects, mathematics, logics, programming, language, geography. I mean, I'm now mentioning those examples where I've seen excellent lessons provided. Yes, yes. But also for refugees, for inmates, for kids with autistic spectrum, for ADHD, for kids with cancer. You name them. There are so many applications. This year we've learned about so many initiatives worldwide, because FIDE is doing many things, but you cannot even imagine how many initiatives NGOs, individuals, federations themselves, they carry out at their national level, changing lives of people with our beloved game of chess.
So hopefully the future is bright for chess as
times come and go, chess is forever.
Absolutely. But again, like, we somehow, maybe because I was competing and so on, like, people too much concentrated on, like, you know, who's the world champion and the future of the elite chess, and then somebody says it's a draw, and, you know, you will see more and more draws. And this talks, by the way, that started by Capablanca, I think. Capablanca was the first one who wanted to modify chess a little because it's a drawish game. So it's funny. But we completely forget about, like, how beneficial this game is exactly for the kids and for...
Think of one example, for example, refugees in Kakuma. We've, over a few years' time, we've already trained around 3,000 kids in chess, and last year we didn't succeed because of visa issues, but we will do it one day. I hope already for Uzbekistan that refugees team will come over to play at the Olympiad. And imagine, for those people who've been displaced, they live in totally different country in conditions that I would not wish anyone should experience. Many of them, they don't have any meaningful occupation there, and then suddenly they have chess, a game that is actually a nice game to play, so it's an entertaining one, but they learn new skills. They learn not only, you know, focus and, you know, ability to calculate several moves ahead and you name them, but also very important social skills, you know, how to work as a team. They get motivation to perform better. We take them to championships, to national championship, to other events. They see the world around, and they see that this refugee camp is not the whole world. Yeah. So they get motivation to aspire for better lives, and they have a very important sense of belonging to chess family. And for a displaced person,
of course,
that's the whole
to have
world.
A community that,
yeah,
that's a great thing to do. Okay, meanwhile we've
so that's also happening, you know.
We've gotten a few more moves in our game. Rook to d8 check, and now the rooks being traded. King to g7, move 28.
So what's your expectation? How many moves still? They will test each other's endgame
they'll reach
skills.
Move 40 when it's officially allowed to offer draw, and I'm afraid this will be it. Rook to b7. Yeah, I'm surprised it's rook to b7, by the way, because I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, rook b6. You just play b3.
b3.
Yeah, yes. it's still not much to commentate here. To be perfectly honest.
Yeah, the black king can also not advance because of the pawns on f7. H7 hanging.
You target this one. You target this one. Even if the king gets here, you go to c7. So black is.
So the 7th rank for the rook. That's the dream position, right?
Absolutely right. So having the rook on the 7th rank. Interestingly, here, since you mentioned it, I'm thinking. Imagine a situation, again, it's not a World Championship match, it's some puzzle contest, but you're not allowed, your king is not allowed to participate with white. And I'm thinking because of the rook on the 7th rank, maybe
probably it's enough.
Maybe it's enough to hold the draw,
It's
even
enough, yes.
not moving your king. Yeah, well, so in fact, b7, b6 was played, and Wenjun has played g4.
Active.
30, yeah, well, maybe restricting black's possibilities even more. I'm still not sure if she needed, like g4 move is not the first move I would consider, to be honest, like in this position, because now at least you're getting some, you're giving black an opportunity to play rook e4 with the tempo. But yeah, it's really really hard to see how you get in trouble with.
So the idea would be rook e4, rook b4,
yeah,
b5, a4, a3, and try to make a passing pawn. Yes.
Yeah, like I'm hoping. Yeah, like I think b3 and white is still like completely fine, but I imagine let's show like what am I scared of? Let's say king f6, and then you play a3, rook b3. Let's say, and then white cannot exchange the pawns and. There is one pawn hanging there, there is like rook, but potentially looking at the h3 pawn, and in this particular position it would still be a draw, just like a little bit more precision
But you need
needed.
to play much more precisely.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's like with pawns we tend to say that it's like a word, you know, you cannot eat a word that you have said. So
right,
you cannot retreat. You cannot retreat the pawn that has already moved. Yeah. So every move with a pawn is of high responsibility. Yes. Because sometimes you strengthen your position, but you need to also remember that on the other side you also tend to weaken some points when your pawns are advancing.
Right, and then
you're opening the doors for the opponent to come in.
You're optimist at heart because you strengthen your position. I'm thinking I've done something stupid and I want to undo it. And then with the piece I can go back, but with the pawn I cannot.
Pawn.
Yeah,
no pawns.
I cannot. Yeah, so rook d7, b6, g4, thinking f6. G2.
King G2, rook E2?
Yeah, for now I think I have this check, right? And rook E6.
Rook E6, yeah.
Yeah, rook E6 and then maybe even back to D7. Yeah, not much to do. Yeah, so Wenjun. Because, well, few moves away, I believe. Few moves away.
Okay, you still can make some mistakes, but
of course, of course. But to be honest, like even looking at like Tan playing her last few moves, I think she has given up.
Not this game, but the match.
Yeah, the match. Yeah, of course, the match. And again. We've spoken about like what a long road she had to go through to get to the World Championship, and it seems like today will be a very sad day and maybe a few weeks for her, right? But on the other hand, like before the cycle, you get offered like you win this tournament and that tournament, then you qualify to the candidates. You win the candidates, collecting all the prize money, and then you play for 2 weeks. And you also get a very serious prize.
Yeah, the overall prize fund here is €500,000.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, if I'm not mistaken, it's split like 300,000 for the winner and 200,000 for the runner-up. And I believe a lot of people would say yes. So that's, it's a beauty and cruelty of our game, of our sport rather, that after the end of the event, doesn't matter how well you performed in the series, you lose. Well, in this case, the match, or sometimes one game. Sometimes you lose one game and you're unhappy.
Yes, but everything is relative. Probably, if there would be some tournament and you become the second in the world, you would be probably very happy.
Absolutely, yeah.
but when you play the match and you become the second, then you feel like you are the first loser, not the second in the row.
Well,
Yes.
that's yeah. If you think
It's very
out of
subjective.
these two people, I'm lost. Right?
Yeah, true.
And that
Everything
it's
is relative.
Matter of perspective. Yeah, entirely agree. But right, if let's say if we take everybody who participated in the cycle and we make one huge round robin, right, and you take the second, you say, okay, that's success. But then, yeah, but here you feel like you've taken the last place. King f6, and a much simpler.
Rook b7.
Yeah, rook b7, and then rook attacks both pawns, b6 and f7. King has to guard f7, rook has to guard b6, and apparently there's no way for black to really.
But China will celebrate anyway.
But that we knew before the match, right? That we knew before the match.
So who will be the world chess champion? A Chinese one.
Yeah. And let's imagine we have the challenger from other country next time. Will we still try to make it like split between two cities, two locations? Okay,
Then probably two countries, because
two
I believe
countries,
that the challenger, whoever it would be, if she comes from a different country, would not be pleased to play here in China, rather in some
like
neutral territory, or at least to split
or to
it.
split, yeah, because there was previous case, right, where Goryachkina played with Wenjun, by the way, yeah, in Shanghai and in Russia, in Vladivostok,
Yes.
I think, yeah.
But of course, it highly also depends on the sponsors. You know,
Depends on the sponsors. I guess depends on let's say, the country the challenger comes from, because it could be like just too far, and then you fly around
more
the world.
far than China.
Yeah, well, just other direction. I don't know. Imagine it's China and the US, and you have to travel and adjust. And in this case, I usually get confused, like what date it is, because like depending on which.
No, but I think
side
in general,
fly,
when you are in some tournament, you don't live by dates, you live by rounds.
Yes, that's true. That's true. Try
So
to ask chess player.
What date it is? It's the third round.
Yeah, the date, or even worse, what's the day of the week?
No, it's
Like
no
when
chance
somebody,
to
like I'm
remember
playing a tournament, somebody says, we have a free day on Friday. And I ask, what is Friday?
When is Friday?
What is Friday? What is last Friday? Witness. When's going to be next Friday? Okay, h5 played, move 32. And yeah, well, as you can see, they are playing very fast. So
right. They
so
don't
I
spend
guess,
much
yeah.
time on
I
decision
guess
making here.
Here it's more or less clear that the moment they reach move 40, there will be the game will end. I don't think, yeah, even though you're in must-win situation, so on, but like there is simply not there, right? You can sometimes go for a crazy gamble. If you don't win, you lose. But here it's like if you go for something, you just lose. There is no way. H4, and like normally I'm supposed to let you go now, but I'm scared to miss. That'd be the end of the final game. So if you're fine staying on here for a few more moves at least.
I like this party.
Right. Yeah. So after H4, is it actually? I'm wondering if it's ever somewhat tricky. I don't think so.
What can you try to do? To come queen f5 and
no, I don't
try
think
to proceed. King e5,
King
not
E4
e5,
somehow
e4, yes.
run here, but the pawn is strong enough. Now I think white can actually go rook h7.
Probably it's smart, yeah, not to
h7.
actually give this chance for the black king to advance.
Yeah, because if you run now, you're just pawn down, and then rook comes back to b5. So you're definitely not doing this. And then after king g6, you just return back. And I think this is exactly what happens. So that's a second time we have this position on the board after Wenjun returned to b7. Also move 37, and will Tan play anything else, or just go king f5 and congratulate her countrywoman on 5th World Championship title? It's, by the way, it's remarkable that 6 women world champions come from China.
Yeah, I was asking my Chinese colleagues, what is the secret? How does it come that so many strong women chess players come from China? Yes, but nobody really used the trick.
They do have the secret. They just don't
now,
tell you.
yeah, now I think they have overwhelmed already the legendary Georgian, golden times. But Georgians, I was asking the same question to Nona Gaprindashvili. So what's the secret of the strength of Georgian women chess players? And she said that there's a very old tradition in Georgia. When a girl gets married, she's given a chessboard with her.
Wow.
Yes. So that's already embedded in their culture. That's to play chess, that's important, and it's important for women. Yes, it's not a man's game.
That's interesting.
It's something really
for us,
people consider it's
for
a
us,
good game for girls.
Usually a boy would be taught by a father or an uncle,
but not the
or
girl,
a
right?
grandfather. Yeah, but even like with me, like my sisters were not taught chess, like I was at the age of 6, let's say. Yeah. So, and here in Georgia, it was a tradition for women
Yeah, that's
to
what
play
she
chess,
said.
yeah.
So that's the secret
Nice.
of the strengths of the Georgian women. Okay, I believe that's not the only one. I mean, the whole infrastructure support and trainers and clubs and communities. So that's important.
And something that I guess doesn't go for China, because they do have tradition for chess by now, right? But now I understand with internet, with like information spreading that far, you no longer need this so-called Soviet chess school or whatever to all of a sudden become, to start producing talented players.
But actually, I think
that.
I think that China is still pursuing this very strict training system. They have their talented players being trained on regular basis in special training camps, and there's this Mind Sports Game Center in Honju, that has 2 floors dedicated only for chess, and then you have quite a big competition here in China for the right to go there, to live there, to train there. Yeah. And when you become part of that community, I think being a young girl or a boy, you learn so much also from your more experienced players.
You're surrounded by
you breathe
motivated players.
Not the oxygen, you breathe chess.
Right.
So.
King f5 and rook h7 played, and after king g6,
it's 3 times repetition already.
Yeah, after king g6, Wenjun will be able to claim her title.
Yes.
King to g6, and let's see.
So basically, Tan is already congratulating Wenjun with the victory in the match by making a move, king g6, right?
Yeah, and now Wenjun is double checking.
Now she's trying to double check, yes, whether it's already the high time to claim the draw.
Yeah, and I think it is. I can show that, like last time this position, or first time this position arrived when White played h4, and then second time it was after King went to f5 and back, rook b7, and then again White has a chance to go rook b7. So the procedure for this is you write it down on your score sheet. It's the only time where you're allowed to write down the move before making it on the board.
True.
And
then
you're calling for an
call
arbiter.
the arbiter.
Yeah, you call for an arbiter and you say, Mr. Arbiter or Mrs.
Madam.
Madam Arbiter in our case. Yes, Sabina is the chief arbiter. I'm intending to play rook b7, and please give me my 5th world champion title.
By the way, normally the practice is that they check it on the second board, right? We need to get one problem. Because as you would see in the playing menu, there's only one chessboard available.
And she does stop the clock.
Yeah, she does stop the clock.
And Zhongyi,
she doesn't question the decision. And this is the draw in this game, and this is the victory for Wenjun in the World Chess Championship match 2025. Another title for Zhu Wenjun.
Another title for Zhu Wenjun, and
Bravo.
really becomes the greatest champion. 5 wins in 5 championship matches, or rather 1 knockout, which is also amazing, like defending a title in knockout. But let's forget about the past. This is her, once again, her moment.
I wonder how does she feel? What is the feeling inside?
I believe both players are exhausted, and in a way, I think both relieved. Of course, they are winning this match, but also like
Probably.
tension leaves you. Even losing this match must feel.
But kudos to Zhu Wenjun, kudos to her team. Congratulations. We will going to host the closing ceremony on the 18th of April, the day after to tomorrow. And both players will be awarded with special medals, and the winner will receive this beautiful, specially made peony trophy.
Oh yeah, the trophy is amazing.
And a nice crown. The crown. Queen of the world deserves one.
And the check, I believe.
You are material.
Dara, thank you very much for being my co-host, and on behalf of myself and my wonderful co-host for this event, thank you guys for watching, and see you at next event, I guess, next World Championship, next FIDE event.
Thank you
very much.
And thank you once again for the organizers, for the Chinese Chess Association, for Shanghai Sports Bureau, for Chongqing Sports Bureau, and for all the supporters and the team from FIDE and from the local organizers who've made this match happen and made this at a truly high and extraordinary high level.
Thank you very much, and see you next time.
To start off by congratulating Zhu Wenjun for retaining her title for a 5th consecutive time.
欢迎大家来到第9轮的新闻发布会。我们首先恭喜具文君，赢了这个比赛。
I want to start off with questioning both players. Today was an important day. Zhu just had to draw. Tan, you could go all in. What was your mentality like going into today's game?
首先这个问题想问2位棋手，具文君，你这盘棋只需要半分就可以成功卫冕，然后谭仲仪是需要全劲拼搏，请问你们俩有什么感受？请具文君先回答可以吗？
因为盘棋，我只要获得和棋就可以了，所以作为白棋，我会选择相对平稳的变化，所以说。我觉得相对来说，对我来说，更容易选择一些平稳的变化。
This game as white, I only needed a draw, so as white, it was easier for me to choose something solid. Zhongyi。
我觉得没有，当然我肯定想把这个局面复杂化，但是在比赛当中我确实没有找到什么机会，我觉得他下得挺好的。
I want to, of course, complicate the position as much as possible, but I think she played very well.
And Wenjun, this is of course your 5th consecutive title. How does this achievement compare to the other championships that you played?
具文君，这个当然是你第5次卫冕，那这个比赛的成功跟之前的比赛有什么区别吗？
我想就是每一次的比赛，就这个世界冠军，刚才对我来说都是一个独一无二的、特别珍贵的一次经验。那么我这次能够获得成功，我也想，就是感谢我的团队吧，他们有那个妮华、马克西姆和王平。
So every match was very special, and this, of course, was a very good learning experience for me. And I want to thank for my team. They were Grandmaster Nihua, Grandmaster Maxime, and 最后一位可以重复一下吗？
王平。
Grandmaster Wang Ping.
And for Zhongyi, although the match score doesn't reflect the actual skill we saw in the games were very, very tight, and you showcased exceptional skill. How would you assess your performance throughout the match?
这个问题是想问谭中怡，虽然这次比分不利，但是这并不表现出来你的真正的实力。那你这次有什么感想吗？
我觉得我确实在就是比赛当中暴露了一些挺严重的问题。我会在之后的比赛之后的训练当中想办法去改进它。如果我还想就是继续走下去的话，我必须去面对这个问题，我没有办法去回避它。与其说是我的对手他做得好，不如说我做的可能有一些糟糕。我也会和我的团队一起来想办法。
So I think in this championship match, I exposed some of my weakness, and afterwards in my trainings, I will continue to try to fix them because if I want to continue in this professional chess player journey, and I feel like I just have some weaknesses that I need to fix together with my team.
And Wenjun, how would you assess your play and your opponents in this match?
那具文君怎么评价你这次比赛的表现呢？
我觉得这次比赛，我在一开始其实我的表现并不是太好的，但是可能在第4轮之后吧，我觉得因为比分打平之后，渐渐的我慢慢的进入了状态，那么可能之后我就越来越发挥的更好一些。
So in this match, initially the beginning wasn't very smooth for me, but after the 4th round, after I catch up on the score, I feel I was playing more and more in the zone.
And your opponents play? For Wenjun to reflect on Tan's play in this match.
那你怎么觉得谭中怡的表现？
我觉得我的对手，怎么说呢？他表现的可能没有他的真实的水平那么好，就可能在第5轮之后吧，我觉得他可能是一些我也不太确定，有一些比赛的压力或者是什么，可能影响了他的发挥。我觉得他在之后其实没有表现出他最好的水平。
I feel she underperformed, I wasn't sure, but maybe the stress after round 5 caught to her, so she definitely is better than what she did in this match.
So you've mentioned round 1s and round 5 as key rounds. Do you think this was the turning point, round 5, for the match going in your favor and building the momentum?
所以您说到了第1轮和第5轮是一个非常重要的器局时刻。那您觉得第5轮的时候是非常重要的一个转折点吗？
我觉得是吧，因为第5轮之后也是我首次在比分上获得领先，那么相对来说可能落后的那方会更有压力，会消耗更多的能量去面对这个比分吧。
Yes, I believe so, because from the 5th round, it was my first time taking the lead. Therefore, I think the player that's behind had to deal more energy with the pressure.
For both players, do you have a favorite game from this match?
想问问两位棋手，哪一轮棋是你们最喜欢的对局？从居文君开始可以。
可能是，其实我觉得都还可以，但是那真的很满意的话，应该是，就是昨天那盘黑棋，我觉得，我在后面我都，在获得优势之后掌握了一些，就是获得优势之后，我觉得我就是用一种比较稳健的方式赢得了对局。
In my opinion, every game was good, but if we want to discuss my favorite one, it would be yesterday as black. Once I had the advantage, I felt my approach was solid. 那就谭中怡可以。
我有点记不清了，好像应该是第7轮，我记得应该是判黑棋，就是我创造了比较好的机会，但是中间非常的复杂，然后我看到了很多，但是我在选择当中的时候，就是没有做到很精确，我输掉了那盘棋。就从那一盘棋之后，确实我觉得我已经就是这个比赛已经无力挽回了，但是那盘棋从整个的构思上面来说，我还是很喜欢。
Not sure if I remember this correctly, but I believe it would be the 7th game, and I was black, because in that game I created a lot of opportunities, so there were some exciting variations, but I missed it and I lost. And after that round, I felt it was a little bit helpless to save the match situation.
And I think what a lot of people are curious about in these World Championship matches are the teams behind the players. So Wenjun, you've already noted your teams. Tan, we want to know your team. But more importantly for both, I want to know how much work went on the board and off the board with both of your teams.
就是这个比赛，当然团队是一个非常关键的因素。那刚才居文君已经说了他的团队，谭中怡可以说一下你的团队吗？
首先非常感谢我的团队，因为我们在一起训练了很久，然后就是我虽然表现得不太好，但是我的团队一直给我的鼓励，然后直到最后一盘棋我们都没有放弃。我的团队主要是这个Jeffrey熊，然后许翔宇，然后那个周维奇，也很感谢他们，然后也希望能够在之后的，就是比赛或者是其他的机会当中继续合作。虽然是输掉了这个比赛，但是因为他们的陪伴，其实我可能降低了很多就是这种难过的心情。
So I really want to thank my team. Because we've been working for a long time now, and they really helped me a lot. They are Grandmaster Jeffrey Xiong, Grandmaster Xu Xiangyu, and Grandmaster Zhu Weiqi, Zhou Weiqi. Yeah, because of their accompaniment, it really decreased my sadness of losing this match. So I'm very thankful for them, and hopefully we will continue to collaborate together. 然后还想问问你们是和团队怎么就是在棋上一起合作的，和棋以外的一起合作？可以先。两位棋手的，可以问问具文君吗？先。
我这个更多的是一个赛前的一个针对性的训练吧，就是赛前我会在我比赛的空余时间对对手进行一个全面的准备。那么那个马西姆、马特拉科夫和尼华他们都会帮助我就是通过线下或者线上就是有很多关于棋的一些准备。那么在比赛中也是他们非常认真，有的时候我休息了，他们还在看棋，然后同时也帮我节省了很多体力，让我更加用心的去在棋盘中发挥出最好。然后王平老师他也是为我就是陪同我每一次的比赛，那么也是在我比赛的时候会经常赛后开导我。
So towards this match, it was more positional training towards my opponent in my free times. They were both online and in person. They save a lot of energy for me because even though I went to rest, sometimes they would still check the positions for me. And so that's for Grandmaster Nihua and Maxime. And for Wang Ping, it was very comforting.
And final question for both players from my side is, what's next in your chess careers? What are your plans and goals going forward?
就是接下来想问问两位棋手，你们之后有什么打算呢？谭中医想回答吗？
首先可能调整一下，然后我后面还有就是大奖赛，希望将这个比赛对我后面的比赛的影响降到最低。还有就是可能放松一下，因为可能就是生活还要继续，然后也和我的团队也放松一下，因为我们经历了很长时间的一个备战，也大家都很辛苦。我觉得我可能只是精神上比较煎熬，可能我的团队身体和精神都很煎熬，所以说大家也需要一些休息。然后，其他的其实我也没有想太多，就因为比赛的时候相对还是比较专注的。
So I will readjust and rest for a little bit because I still have the Grand Prix coming up for me. I want to just continue living my life, and I also want my team to relax a little bit because they've been working for a long time, and I feel this tournament I was more psychologically tired, but for my team it's probably both physically and psychologically. 那具文君可以回答这个问题吗？
那么在这次比赛之后，我会参加就全运会，我会继续的在国际象棋上展现自我。不过首先我可能会暂时的休息一下，调整一下。那么今后我也会继续在棋上就在比赛中有好的发挥。
So after this match, I have the Chinese intellectual game match and I also want to relax a little bit, but I will continue working on my chess.
Thank you very much. Do we have any questions from journalists on the floor?
非常感谢。那我们媒体同事有问题吗？
Yeah, just a question for Zhu. Congratulations, first of all, for her 5th title defense. I know Charlize kind of touched on it already, but I was curious whether if this defense is special for Zhu in some way, because she is now the first Chinese woman to defend the title 5 times, putting in or a par with Gaprindashvili and Chiburitse.
这个问题是想问具文君的。那这次比赛您是成功第5次卫冕，然后是作为中国的第1位女棋手，这样子，达到这样的成就，和之前的 Gaprindashvili 和 Chiburitse 是一样的成就，您有什么感受吗？
我想说，这能有这样的成就，我想也离不开团队和过去所有帮助我的人。其实就像我之前的比赛，每一次我也有落后的时候，那个时候其实也是需要克服所有的困难。那么能够获得5次冠军，那么也想感谢倪华教练在每一次的比赛中都为我提供了很多的国际象棋的指导，还有关于对手的准备和各方面。
This achievement cannot be achieved without my team and all the help that I've received, because in the past matches I was sometimes behind and I had to overcome difficulties. A special thanks for Grandmaster Nihua for his chess help and other aspects as well. Thank you.
Thank you. And just another question then for Zhu in that case, that she's come from behind now in quite a few of these matches. The last 2 matches, I think, she came from behind as well. And whether those early losses in some way help her focus and make her want to take revenge against her opponent, perhaps.
就是刚才您谈到了之前也有比赛您落后了，那就是之前落后会有这种想复仇的这种心理吗？就是重新上来。
我觉得可能我落后之后，我更多的就是还是按照自己的风格吧，肯定还是要在每一次每一招上去尽力去跟对手去斗的，一定是永远不会放弃的，就是直到比赛结束前。
Yeah, in those scenarios where I was behind, I think I would still follow my style and try to find the best move and never give up until the last moment.
Just final question for Zhu as well, that, of course she's just achieved this important victory and moment, but are there any other future goals or ambitions that she might have her eye on, maybe another title defense or going over 2600 in rating again?
这个最后一个问题问具文君，那您这个之后对国际象棋这方面的成就会有就是更大的设想吗？比如说就是下一次也卫冕，或者就是想要突破2600分。
现在，我今年就是有一个全运会，那么我会努力把这个比赛下好。那么今后的话，我想我会一直在国际象棋里面去做一个国象人，就是暂时还没考虑那么多。
I haven't thought that far. This year I have the National Intellectual Games match and I want to play that well.
Sure, thank you. And just one question to Tan as well, if I may, which is, I want to thank her for her opposition and fighting spirit through these games. But, during the candidates, whilst it was a different match format, she had a much greater range of openings that we saw here. Does she perhaps have any thoughts about, going for C4 and the Sicilian here, and perhaps whether she should have mixed it up a bit more like she did in the candidates?
就是这个问题是想问谭忠仪，首先感谢您给我们带来的这个精彩对局。然后呢， 在候选人的时候，您有选择多样化的一些开局，然后这个比赛我们可能少见了一些开局选择，您有一些评论吗？
确实，我觉得我的开局储备还是比较广的。这次主要的原因是，我出问题也不是出在开局上面了，所以说我也没有去切换我的开局，就是我觉得更多确实还是我自身的问题。然后其实我觉得我的团队确实，在开局方面给到了我非常强大的帮助，我也非常感谢他们。
So I feel like my opening knowledge is still quite broad. So when I feel the games weren't because of the opening problems, therefore I did not change my opening choice. It's more like my own mistakes, and I really want to thank my team again because of them. They helped me a lot.
Do we have any more questions?
还有其他问题吗？
Then that concludes our final press conference. Thank you everyone for joining us every day. It was a wonderful and successful World Championship match, and congratulations once again to Wenjun and Zhongyi for your fighting spirit and strength.
谢谢大家。那我们最后的一次新闻发布会就到此截止，感谢两位棋手和感谢大家。